Bitcoin rallying today, doing so after lunchtime or around lunch, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I guess the word got out that I was on strike, showing this chart until I could get out of the 18 average on the daily term. We can see so that it isn't above this level of resistance, and I suppose breaking out 48 area or close to 5,000 would be a target level. But listen, Bitcoin, you gotta. This is barely above it. I really need to see you either really get above it, thus convincingly, which is not right now, or hold and stay above this for a little bit. The strike remains, actually. Yeah, the strike remains until I clearly see it leaving the 18 average, and again, it clearly has, but it kind of hasn't yet either. And within Litecoin, there's three ways in correcting within the 18 average: either bullishly, bearishly, or neutrally. Neutrally? Well, within a neutral market, which is the common one like Bitcoin does. You got a flat 18 and the price just stays within it. Okay. Well, doing it in an uptrend looks something like this. And opposite state, if you could extend action like this, it's hard to do it for long periods of time in an up or downtrend. And the fact that it was doing so for as long as it did with Litecoin, well, it's longer than normal. However, it's broken out above it. It's broken out above established resistance. It's gotten above the neckline. Now we're going to see how this level holds. Big support coming in. And this is what I didn't say in the last video, which is very important. Like, this is the must hold area. So if you see that it's not, especially if this area is toppish, is that you very easily could see that failed breakout, fast move lower. And then it would not only probably go below this, but you're probably looking closer to about 16.15 as its next leg lower. With that being said, I'd be on the camp that if you see it break in your early stages, if you are playing to go long at this time, meaning you see it now, you pretty much buy it now as a strategy. It has to be noticeably above, and it can't be too much above. Reason why noticeably above is that the pattern has to be quote unquote like official kind of deal, but not too much above, because the whole point of it is, well, if you're expecting a leg higher from here, well, this thing went from 22 to 36. So the way I like to do it is like, well, how big of a move did it have before? Or 23 rather. 23 to 36, that's 13 on 23. Better than 50%. Better than 15% on this is like maybe 18 on 36. So you're looking at about 54. So therefore, you want to be on the early run. Now, one might say this isn't early enough. They want to see more. And those are strategies that have its different advantages. I don't play any of them. But by buying now, this is, you are set in case it happens anytime. Because these things can go so fast that that's one of the reasons why you go and would buy now. You also would realize that if it comes down in here, that it would be that of a good chance of being a correction. You're not going to sell at that stage. Oftentimes you would have to decide realistically, if it goes this deep, I'm certain it's not going to go up now, and that's like the area for like stop losses if playing within that level. And then you got it coming back to it on two different measures. What's the two measures? One, you just have a buy order in here. Risk reward states risk. If it's a failed move, you're going to lose every time because it's always going to hit your buy. Also on the risk is if it just keeps on going off right now, you just might not get your buy order fill. The reward is if it goes up, comes back, and it does that, you're going to get a much better price buying at around, say, 35 compared to 39. So just other different things of nature. When looking at this on a short-term time frame, one thing you might want to do is wait for a good correctionary move, wait for it to settle within the 18 average, and then wait for momentum after that. whichever works to help your strategy out, but those are just some different ideas within the such. And I want to say it now because oftentimes I say when a market does this, then that, but I'm never around when it actually does it. And in this case, on this time frame, I am. So I think that's why I want to bring it over. But for myself, I would rather have buy orders low, sell orders high, realize that, okay, if it's going to be at key areas, that's where you can go more aggressively into buying and selling, given that, okay, maybe into this, as we mentioned, I mentioned in before in this area in here, at around the over 60, where this level of resistance in Fibonacci was. Fibonacci did not find support. It resisted this level. And now that it came down and pierced above the next one, or basically a Fibonacci hit, given how much it barely was, the 21 level was the Fib low. This came down to 22.5. So only $1.50 differential, which is not much on the long term. Okay, I've talked a lot about Litecoin. I'm going to move on to the next one quickly, which is DGB. And I really want to go super showdown fast within this, but here we have DGB, pretty much symmetrical situation. You got this high, you got this high, you got this one. Nice couple higher lows. I like how it's been supporting the last few days as well. Pretty much an ascending triangle, breaking out right now to the upside, albeit barely, holding and staying above about 281 or even 279-ish area. 280 I think is very important. And next key level of resistance is between 320 to 340. I think 340 is a much more realistic or stronger level, or more likely level. When I say realistic, I'm saying that because the 18 average of highs is 334, and I think there's a better chances it would pierce above it than pierce below it. Let's move on to AID. I talked about this over the last couple of days a little bit, as I ended up selling up here on the way up, buying on the way down. I didn't sell up here. I think I'm glad I didn't right now, because had I sold up here at, say, around 650, there's no way I'm buying it back at 572. Not for this market. And if I had a sell order, say around here, that would have sucked, because then I would have just barely missed it. Then I would have either had to move my sell order maybe here or closer to up here. However, my sell order is pretty much around here. And you know what? I think now with a move to here, come back, rally back here, that if it breaks this level of resistance, that this is a very good conservative sell level, because I think realistically it's got a better chance of coming up to here. But I go a little below that level, so I think it's here. And then there's a good wall block in here. There's a satisfactory wall block, nothing too magnificent. Wall block means there's a big buy or sell order at a particular spot, and thus you'd be looking to buy or sell just before their number. So if, say, someone had a big order in to sell at 710, you can go 708, 709. Someone has a monstrous buy order, say at 520, maybe 521 or 522. That's an example of what that means. Okay, let's talk about market possibly with a little bit of a leg lower coming, as we had this rally on Doggy up to 84 from the November lows. Came down, spent many days within the 18, but we can see that the sentiment has changed, as this level of key support has been resisted over the last couple of days and breaking out below it right now. Definitely a warning sign that this could go down maybe at least another 6 more basis points. That's conservative to here. And then you got this previous low at 44. We look at this on a weekly term time frame. It is a very, very choppy market. Choppy, going above and below the 18 as it has done. Very good amongst the trading strategy of buy low, sell high that I talk about. But here you go back, fighting below it a couple times, not breaking really too much. Good rally, but it didn't find support well here. It's resisting it on this level, so this area does seem conservative, and a possibility that this could come back down to this 20 level totally in play, as that's what these markets do. And when you're seeing it in the early stages of a breakdown period, and that's what I'm seeing with both the weekly and amongst the daily, there's a lot of concern right now with this coin. My holding of Doge Doji is pretty much my min holding, so I'm not really too concerned. If it goes down, then I'll probably end up selling some XBY for it because that's how I'm playing it. With Ethereum Classic, I'm trading that against Ethereum, and I'm also trading it against Litecoin. But I'm going to show it against Bitcoin, and just still correcting sideways after this wonderful previous rally. Support has been established. It hasn't given in yet. And then resistance had a retest of it this period alone. I mean, this is some interesting volatility. I mean, don't know what else to say about this, but it is what it is. The big volume coming in towards this selling moment. So wait and see, but that's giving back a lot more than you would expect it to, because I'd be looking for it to hold like 1367 handle area. Obviously not doing so, but within that move, it's still correcting within this sideways manner. And if it does have a leg lower, I'll be looking for support to be found somewhere around like a 61.8% retracement from this high to this low. Komodo's been one of my favorites, but it might look as if it could be doing the same thing, a 61.8% possible correction, or at least testing where it really needs to hold, which is roughly around the low 1700, high 1600 area. Since it's been correcting in the 18, it has really just been hanging in there. We can see it's barely breaking below the established support, and the key word to that is just barely at this time frame. But just reason to be, I think, concerned more than anything. And a lot of this reason for the fall is because Bitcoin's going up against the dollar at such a large percentage. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Quick little update on Litecoin against Bitcoin. Was near the 0.01 handle. Now it is having its retracement within this correctionary mode. So we'll see how this plays out. Ideally, one would oftentimes like to see it stay within here. Maybe stay at hold or stay above 942. Maybe establish a range between here and maybe like 9, somewhere up around here for a day or two. But some people ideally would just want to see this go out and have a big gain higher. At any time, it technically could. It's just, this is our correctionary mode that all markets always have in time. QTUM, we've got a lot of established support here, to say the least. It's an understatement to say if this 570-ish area is that of support. Still correcting within the 18, finding a lot of weakness right now within the 18 lows. Again, it hasn't fallen below this 4-hour term time frame, really boringly going sideways, not that volatile at this period. But when I look at this, I'm never trying to predict where it's going to go, if it's going to break it to the upside or downside, because I realize it's going to do it either way. That's an obvious fact. But to think that somewhere around here is going to be a bottom, which would basically be a failed breakdown if it happens, is really unlikely. To think somewhere around here would be a lot more likely. Now, whether this would be one or not, this would just be the 61.8% area. It would be a decent sized leg passing the eye test, just a decent amount, like that size of a line. So breaking that, that's probably where it would go. And I don't know if it's going to be support from there, that point on or not. But I realize I don't want to be a buyer here. At the 570 handle, I'd rather be a buyer here. Same thing when you're looking at different selling spots. When you see if a market's going to do this, then this should happen. And then all that type of stuff, and this shouldn't happen. And when you see, your analysis can say that the market should not stop going up from here or not stop going down from there within the time frame you're assuming on or playing on, then that's when you know not to buy and not to sell, obviously. So there's different ways, I think, in which the importance of it comes through. But definitely in concern, it's had a lot of support tests, but so far it's been passing up until now. Well, it's still passing now. It's got to end it at some point. And the more often you test a key level, the more likely it is you take it out. But for me, the more often you have a pattern like this where you have this monstrous amount of support, you have this monstrous resistance level, that it's going to have a decent break one side or another when it does happen. Right now the silver market's closed, and I'm going to put this up because it's having a nice little run right now. And it's opening in 3 hours from now. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time as I'm doing this. And let's finish this off with Strat. 2 reasons I had to change my buy order on this baby today. I'm not trading this against Bitcoin. No, I'm trading this against Litecoin. And I haven't bought anything since selling all of this up yet. I've been tempted to here and there because, I mean, I've been doing well, I guess you can say, and holding out. Now what that means is none of my buy orders that I had were to come into play, which is pretty much around current price. When I checked it this morning, when I had to check all my orders to make sure they were in sufficient spots, 3 or 4 of them had to be moved. Because at that time, there were small deals available to sell altcoins because the ratio was simple because it got up to 0.01 on Bitcoin. So I could just multiply the Bitcoin price by 100. Well, I had my buy order in at 28 handle against Litecoin. And that price was worth like 27.7 or something at the time. And I'm thinking to myself, someone could just take that. And then I'm looking at this chart, and I'm looking at Litecoin possibly going up. I can really look to put my buy order in at around the lower number here, which is what I did. It changed my buy order. I think Bitcoin's going to be bullish Bitcoin, that's irrelevant for this. I think Litecoin's going to be bullish moving forward, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that this is maybe going to have about a 61.8% move. So therefore, the strategy again, I did all my selling up top, buy at this area. If it doesn't do it, then maybe I can get a chance to buy in here later on. Maybe. And if it just happens to rally to go back up to here, well, that means when it is there, I really can't sell. Because I already did my selling in here and I haven't bought back. But by waiting for these lower prices, especially on this one given the conditions, my return on investment for selling all of this up here and waiting for it to come back in here is going to work out really, really profitable. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.